Hey, how's it going? This is Eric with Cycle Solutions. I'm a no-code and automation specialist, and I help save people time from doing the work they hate so they can focus on what they love by implementing automated and no-code solutions. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down SmartSuite's duration and time tracking fields to show you how you can better organize and consolidate time tracking information to help you be more efficient with managing your clients' time, as well as being able to have all your information in one place at your fingertips. So if you struggle with keeping track of time for different clients and want an easier solution, then you've come to the right place. Let's get to it. Before we get started, I want to take a quick minute to invite you to a free consultation with me. I understand that running your business is already busy enough without having to learn a whole other process or trying to implement something that you're not going to be able to give it its full attention. That's why I'm offering free 30-minute consultations, because I want to be able to help give you more time back, and I feel like we can get something set up quickly in that short time frame. So if you want to see how much time you can save in 30 minutes, feel free to click the link in the description of this video or scan the QR code that's somewhere around my face and see how much time we can save you in that 30-minute meeting. Now that we've got that housekeeping out of the way, let's turn our attention to the question that I'm trying to answer in this video. And that is, why would you want to use SmartSuite to track time, as well as is there a way that we can consolidate all of our time without having to manually add all that up or keep track of it ourselves? SmartSuite has two really useful field types that you can implement inside of a solution to either enter data for completed time or actively track this time as well inside of SmartSuite. So let's hop into my screen, and you see under this test zone solution that I have two different tables. One is called an example CRM and the other is example projects. This CRM is just very basic, where I have my client's business names set up, and in this case, a few of my favorite cartoon businesses as well. But I have linked between the two tables tasks that I am working on that are specific towards a certain client. So you'll see that my own business, Cycle Solutions, I have a couple of very clear videos or tasks that I'm trying to complete here. But then for Moe's Tavern, I have completely different tasks, as well as for the other two in here. I can either click here and open up a specific task and learn more, but if I want to drill into, in this case, Cycle Solutions, I can look over the tasks here, which you'll see has a status, so I know where I'm at with these projects, the priority for the client, as well as I'm able to link specific client categories that will help me either see from working with short-term clients, myself, or some other long-term clients as well. Now you'll see that I have these two different field types here. Both of these allow me to collect time. So the first one that's called time tracked is actually called a duration field. If I were to just type in duration field in the field type here, I can click on that and you'll see that we have the ability to just change the name however we want, but we have the ability to also display formats in terms of whether we're making it a more compact time frame that we're tracking, or we could have a longer time that has the full hour, minute, and second spelled out. I like keeping things either compact or in standard. And the other interesting thing here is that we can adjust the duration of what we're looking for. So if we're looking at something that is tracking days, we can count days here, and we can also go as little as seconds. For me, I like to make it a clean break of hours and minutes. So that means that if I were looking at specific seconds, it would round up or down to the closest minute, as well as I'm not going to be keeping track of days because I don't charge clients per day for certain things. It is basically the amount of hours that I spend working on a particular project here. So we can keep this set up. I'm going to close out of this field, but now that you see how this duration field type is set up, Let's just dive into this a little bit, and we'll go back to the time tracking solution in a moment. So if I were to enter some information for tasks that I have completed, and one thing to note right off the bat with this duration field type is that this works best for when you are entering previously tracked time. So it could be that you have a better system of keeping track of the time that works for yourself. You may have it entered in a different database, and if you want to enter that here so you have all of that data inside of your project tracking, you can manually enter that here, or even automate that from different softwares with something like Make or Zapier. If you have completed time information and you can calculate this, then it's pretty easy to just enter what you're looking for. So say for this record a video, I put in 35 minutes. And I can just put in 35M, and that's going to identify clearly as minutes. One thing I want to point out here is that this particular setup, it seems that if I just put in a 3 here, it's going to automatically calculate it as 3 minutes. I have tried playing around with if I enter hours. So for example, here if I put 3 hours, it's going to set up a separate section for 3 hours and 0 minutes. So I'm going to leave this 3 hours as is here, but I'm going to just show you a little bit with some different tasks, some of the variation that you can add. So I'm going to just put in 45 minutes here, and it's going to automatically create that to 45M. If I were to type in something like 90 minutes here for meet with client, the system was automatically going to calculate everything to the hour and minute. Now, if I just had the time denomination set to minutes, it would leave everything as 90 minutes. But here, it's going to break that information down to what is allowed. One other thing to note here with this record a video 2 example, I cannot put a decimal in. So if I try to put in 1.5 hours here, it's going to calculate it as 15 hours. So I would have to type 1H30 min here, and that's going to update this information. Now that we have our information entered in the time duration field, let's look at the time tracker field and see how that differs. So you see that when I've created this field type, it automatically creates this widget showing 0 hours and 0 minutes. I could, if I wanted to, press the start timer, or I can drop down this particular arrow, and you'll see that there are 3 different ways that we can enter time here. I can either click the timer here and start it. I can enter information like the duration field. So I could type in 1 hour, 5 min, or I can also set a specific range. So if I knew that I worked from, in this case, let's say 9:30 in the morning and worked until 10:30 or 11:15, I can add that information here and specify the specific time. Additionally, this allows me to add notes for the specific tasks I'm looking for. So I could put this 9:30 a.m. to 11:15, and I could say testing new location setup. If I were to enter that, you'll see that it automatically just puts this as an hour 45. What's additionally nice about this field type is that it allows me to add more time as I work on this particular task. So I could then say I worked another hour and 30 minutes, much like the time tracked in the duration field. If I were to put that in, I apparently am not good at adding time, so it's good that I have this info all at once. But you can see that I can click the drop down, and you'll see that there's a lot of information that I can go in and modify. So maybe what I do is I can go in and edit this entry, and I can put 15 minutes here. And so that equals 30 minutes. Another thing that I can do is when I click the start timer, it's going to run this particular task, and you'll see that it turned into a stop timer. It also pulls up a small little widget down at the bottom of my SmartSuite screen that you see, and this allows me to look at the information. If I were traveling between different tables or databases, it's still going to show up at the bottom of my screen. I can click the home page, and you'll see that it's still here. So I can leave that running while this is still tracking my time. Now, one quick thing to note is that with the timer, if you say start a separate task here, you'll see that the time here immediately stops. It's set it as 1 minute, but you have only one timer that can run, and you're not able to run multiple tasks at once. What I'm going to do now that we've seen how this works and we're able to add all this information together, I'm going to quickly just add everyone's information here. Now, the reason that I'm adding this information here at the same level is that I also want to take a look at all the clients as a whole. And you'll see that I've put in a bunch of different times that are all matching both in the duration and the time tracking field. So now that we have all this information with us, what I want to do is say, I don't want to have to manually add each of these tasks together to see how much time I've spent per client that I would bill them. Let's hop back over to the CRM where we have a linked relationship with project tasks listed already. I can click Add New Field and type in Rollup. There are two ways that we can calculate this information. Each field type has its own unique way of collecting this information, and there are both pros and cons to both sides. So if I were to access the Rollup field, I'm just going to put this as duration, total, time. I can link this information to the project tasks linked record field, and you'll see under field type, the only time that we have is called time tracked. That's our duration field type back over in example projects. If I click that and I hit sum, we can add this field, and you'll see in just a minute, or not even a minute, a second, it calculates everything based on hours and minutes. Now, one other thing that's really nice about using the Rollup field is that it is a lot quicker and simpler to filter out the specific information that you want. So if I were to look at the tasks that I have, say I don't want to bill clients for tasks that are ongoing. I only want to bill for projects that are completed. So I'm going to just mark complete on a couple of different tasks here. So let's say I was a bit more productive with Mo than I was with Bob's Burgers, and I'm going to complete these tasks here. And let's say I only did one for Strickland Propane. So you'll see that there's a lot of different tasks that I want to consolidate, but I don't want to have the grand total for the project duration time. I can go back into the field settings, and down at the bottom, I can toggle on a filter function. This will allow me to roll up the specific records that meet a very specific criteria that I want. So in this case, I'm just looking for anything where the status is complete. So I click that and I hit update field and give it a minute, and you'll see that all the time that I had set up here matches with the specific tasks that I have marked as complete over in the projects table. So this is really great, but there is another way that we can calculate this as well, but it requires a formula field. So the formula allows me to generate information based on certain commands. It allows me to combine a lot of data as well as formatting things in very particular ways that I want to, or rather I need to get set up. And certain fields are limited by what they have, and I can consolidate all this here in one place instead. So I'm going to put time tracker log, and we're going to toggle on the advanced editor. So to write this formula, these can be a little bit more advanced, and this is something I will be doing in a separate video. But to write this information, we first need to pull up the linked record. So I'm going to add a bracket, and I'm going to type in project tasks. From there, I'm going to hit the period, which allows me to then pull up data, as you'll see, changed inside of the linked fields. In this case, I'm going to hit time tracker. Now, I will be getting an error message, and that's perfectly okay. So what I could do is just the sum, and it's going to calculate all those specific tasks for the time tracker. So let's see what happens when we hit the update field. And now this is going to calculate just all of the time that is added up all into one place. We do have the ability to add a specific rule inside of our formula. So we would have to go back and hit a function called SumIf and add an additional criteria saying that the status inside of the project task is marked complete, and then wrap all these other functions that we've had around. So you can see that the formula is great if you know what you're doing, but it is a little complicated, especially if you're starting out. Now, you see here that we do have this set up just as 5.24 hours, 4.63. It is just adding the very basic number. So looking at these two differences in the duration and the formula, there are some pros and cons here that I just want to touch on briefly at the end. You can see that the duration field is easy to roll up and easier to filter, but this may be a little more difficult if you're trying to use this information to calculate total things going into like invoices or something. This can be a little tricky and may require formulas, or if you're sending this information out from SmartSuite to, say, an invoice tracking system or something that calculates the amount of time based on the hour, your per hour rate, then this may be a little harder to get done. But if you're just trying to just see quickly how much time you've spent on your total projects with a client, this may be perfect for what you're looking for. If you're trying to do live tracking of tasks you're working on, as well as wanting to consolidate several pieces of information all at once, and you want something that's a lot easier to send to calculate invoice totals, then the formula options may be a little better for you in terms of consolidating this information. You can use this formula as well for the duration fields, but the Rollup only works for the duration field types. It doesn't work with the time tracking project tracker. So this just scratches the surface in terms of what you can do with time tracking automations. SmartSuite has some really great features, but that may not be what works best for you. There can be other tools that you can work with. I personally use Toggle to help track time, and I am able to import that information to SmartSuite. I'll be sure to make a video soon about how to import time and map that into these specific time function fields. But having the ability to track time inside of your databases is incredible and is such an amazing time saver, especially if you are working based on hourly rates that you need to consolidate all that time and you want to know immediately whether you're meeting your retainer, whether you're over retainers, or if you're just trying to calculate how much money you think you're going to earn at the end of the month. I hope you got a ton of value out of this specific video, and I hope you see ways that you can implement these solutions inside of your own business. If you do want some help getting this set up, don't forget, like I said at the beginning, I am offering free 30-minute consultations, so you can work with me to get that set up as well, and I'm happy to help figure out how we can make this an easy part of your business that you don't have to worry about anymore. Well, thank you for watching, and if you found this useful, please consider sharing this to someone else that might find this useful, as well as subscribing to the channel to get more useful information like this. If you have any questions, or if you have anything that you feel like you missed or didn't understand, feel free to post those in the comments as well, and I will answer them as best as I can. And also, if you have any challenges on some automation services that you want to see if it's possible to get set up, I'd love to take a crack at it. So let me know if you have any other thoughts, but in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. See ya.